So before I begin this video, I wanted to explain that I did tell this story to some friends at an activity, or, some people that we got together for a church activity, and I told it to a bunch of people, but I forgot to video it. So now I have to video it, but I don't have the people here because I totally spaced that we had to have this one videoed when I told that story. So bear with me. Alright, so Grandpa Skeen's Tree Hugger. That's the name of this story. And I'm sitting down because this was told in a casual manner when I told it both times. So anyway, so my grandpa, he's in his late 80s. My grandma and grandpa are in their late 80s, or mid 80s, I guess. And they are avid outdoors people. They love the outdoors. But there was a time in my grandpa's life that they didn't have a cabin. And so when he was going to work every day, he was just totally hating life because he dealt with the people who were like the bad side of people. He dealt with like the white-collar crime people. People who just rubbed you the wrong way. They tried to cheat you out of money and all these different things. So my grandpa would come home grumpy. And my grandma used to always say that she could always tell what kind of mood my grandpa was by the way he stepped on the stairs coming into the house. And she knew what to do or what not to do. So that gives you an idea of how grumpy my grandpa was at some point in his life. He's still a little grumpy, but he's calmed down a little bit because he can't take as much energy to be that grumpy anymore. Anyway, so he decides in 1979 that they want to buy some land. And that they're going to buy this land and they're going to build a cabin on it so they can get away from life, which is what we all want to do. So while he was building this cabin, it was his way of getting out all of his frustration and anger from work, and he would take it out on pounding nails up the cabin. Well, the cabin had been built, quite a bit. There was a lot on the cabin already at this point of this story that I'm going to tell you. But they needed to do some roof work. And at this time, I don't know, it was probably 15 years later, my aunt, Laura, had a boyfriend that my grandpa really liked. And they got along really good. And he was from Kansas. And he helped with the cabin a lot. He actually gave my grandpa a stove, and was from his sister's stove shop in Kansas. He hauled this stove all the way to Utah and gave it to my grandpa to put in the cabin, which it's still there. And so anyways, that gives you an idea of what kind of relationship they had. Well, that relationship was about to be changed when they decided one day to go up to the cabin and work on the roof because it needed to be fixed a little bit and they just needed to do some roof work. And so my grandpa and his friend Alan and this boyfriend of my aunt's went with them. And the three of them went up to the cabin, and it's a long ways. It's like, a good hour and a half from Ogden. And so they get up there and they're working on the roof. Alan and my grandpa are up on the roof, and here comes the boyfriend. He shimmies up the ladder. He gets up on top of the roof. And while he's getting on top of the roof, he accidentally knocks the ladder down. And the cabin is a good 20 feet off the ground. The roof is. And so that tells you how far they were off the ground. And my grandpa does not like heights. And he was scared. And you could tell by the way he tells this story that he was so mad at this kid. And my grandpa gets kind of grumpy, and so I could just see it now. I could just see the red in his face starting to fume up, and I could tell that by the way he describes this to us every time when we're with him. He always likes to tell this story, and so as he's telling the story, he explains that, so the roof is so far off the ground, there's no one there around, the ladder is on the ground, what are they going to do? My grandpa's mad. He was mad. And so the young boyfriend of my aunt's, decides he's going to be smart and just be crazy. And there's a quakey tree probably like 5 to 10 feet from the cabin roof. He gets a running start. Runs fast and jumps and grabs onto the quaky tree 5 to 10 feet away. And he just grabs it, and the tree just starts swaying back and forth, and my grandpa was like, "Are you kidding me? Now I'm gonna have the freaking tree in my roof of my cabin that I worked so hard to build. What is this kid thinking?" And as this is going through my grandfather's head, this young kid shimmies down the tree and grabs the ladder and puts it back up against the cabin. And my grandpa climbs down, and he has never set foot on top of that roof ever again. He hates getting on the top of the roof, and he will never do it again. After that, he said, "No way, man, anyone else but me." And there's been times with the cabin where they've had to, do stuff on the roof and fix things and fix the chimney and everything. And my grandpa, he's just like, "No, I'm not going up there. Somebody else has to go up there." And my dad says he's afraid of death to go up there too. It's very steep and high off the ground. But their friend Alan, even though he had the same experience, will still go up there. And I don't know whatever happened to this young man, but my grandpa loves this story.